Hello, welcome to Dodge Newscast. I am Miss Jade, and I am here today to talk about a story that I said we won't elaborate too much on those, but as they come up, we will discuss them. This story is so horrific. It's the story of 6-year-old Zaire Perkins out of the state of New York. His mom, Geraldine Perkins, and her ex-boyfriend, Rayhiem Smith, are currently on trial for the murder of this baby. His murder occurred on September of 2016, but this baby suffered for at least 2 to 3 years, as noted on record prior to his death. Zaire was beaten, starved, abused, left alone by his mom and his mom boyfriend. His mother right now is testifying against her ex-boyfriend, Rayhiem Smith, in order for her to get 2 to 6 years for her son's murder. I will leave the link of this story below this video so you guys can look at the whole story. It is so sad. I don't know where to start. This man, from the looks of his picture, is a really burly man, especially compared to a 6-year-old baby. A 6-year-old baby who was starved and beaten constantly, who was always weak. So imagine he's 6-year-old, like David and Goliath. And then to maximize that visual, he did not get the things to sustain his little body, to keep him as strong and healthy and a playful 6-year-old. The system failed him. ACS is the system in that jurisdiction that was supposed to be investigating and protecting his baby. There were 5 noted investigations by ACS. However, they only found 3 negative results after their investigations of Zaire, but they never, ever removed this baby out of this home. They never arrested Smith. For Zaire himself used to tell the ACS caseworker exactly what Smith had done to him. Again, it's so horrific. I don't know where to start with this case. The mom is currently testifying for the last 3 or 4 days on the stand. I believe it's going on in Manhattan, and today is the last day, supposedly, of testimony against Smith in his murder trial. He's looking at up to life in prison, but for Geraldine Perkins' testimony against him, she's looking at only 2 to 6 years. She idly watched, and sometimes she participated in this baby's beating. The day that he was actually murdered, Smith, I don't want to call him stepdad because he was nothing to that baby but an evil monster. He found feces on the living room floor or somewhere in the living room. The baby had defecated and hid it. Of course, Smith found it, and he beat this baby something horrible. He beat him with a broken broomstick handle in his stomach, on his legs. He poured the shower rod down in the shower, doused that baby with cold shower water, beat him with the shower rod until this baby finally went limp for the last time. He killed him right then and there, and the mom sat there and watched. She said that she believed these beatings would be good for her son. How in the hell would she think beating this baby the way this baby was beaten over those years is good for him? Maybe her ass should get beaten while she's doing her 2 years in prison and see if she deserves it. But anyways, once the baby went limp this day, she said they slapped him and tried to wake him up because that was a tactic the baby used to stop the beatings. He would play like he was dead or play like he was unconscious. So they start putting a lot of more water in his face to get him to wake up, slapping him, but he didn't wake up. So when he didn't wake up, Smith just slung the baby in a vacant room in the house, just took the baby's body and slung him up against the wall, and he fell between the bed and the wall. Then Smith went out to go get breakfast or go get some food. So when he left, the mom, Geraldine Perkins, cleaned up the apartment, cleaned up the bathroom, probably cleaned up where how the baby had got beaten in one from one room to another, read her Bible, then went and got her baby, tried to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, tried to put more water on him to get him to wake up. And she testified that at this point, she pretty much knew that the baby was dead. Some way, Smith came back to the house. I'm not sure what the time lapse was. He came back to the house, and I guess she may have told him, well, I think I'm going to take him to the hospital. Smith told her to take him out the back door because he didn't want neighbors to see her carrying this dead baby, her dead son, because he was not alive at that time, out the front door, and to fabricate some story of what may have happened to him. And of course, when she got him to the hospital, all hell broke loose. And it should have broke loose the first time this baby told ACS workers that he wrote on a wall at a neighbor's house. And you know, a neighbor come home, hey, he wrote on our walls with crayon. They probably didn't know the baby would get beat like he did. The baby got beat so bad that people outside on the sidewalk heard him screaming. And I think maybe someone called Child Protective Services because ACS got involved at that time, and they interviewed the baby, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. This kid, this precious angel told people who were supposed to be there to protect them when they're tapped on the shoulder about what's going on negatively with these kids, and nothing was done to help this baby, to protect this baby. So she also testified against him, how they would punish ZYMERE with keeping food from him, to the point where she would hear him in the garbage eating at night, late at night, because he was starving. He was starving, so he was trying to sustain himself because they damn sure wasn't sustaining him. And he would get beat for that. He would defecate and urinate in the living room or wherever he had to sleep because there was no electricity in the house. He was afraid of the dark, so she testified, and he was just scared to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So he would use it in different places of the house, and of course he would get beaten by Smith. And she even said that she would beat him with sticks and partake in some of the beatings because she felt it was right. She felt it was good punishment because she say Smith's sons turned out right, and he did the same type of beatings with his sons, and they're okay. I have not found that they're okay. I don't even know who his sons are. Are they really okay? Did he really beat his sons the way he beat her son? I don't know. That's just her testimony. Also, before she took ZYMERE to the hospital, who knows what the time lapse from when he died in that bathroom by the hands of Smith while she stood there and watched. In the time she decided to take him to the hospital, she put on her wig and makeup. This is after she cleaned up the house, read her Bible. Smith came back in a process, or in sometime during this time period, she tried to resuscitate the baby by giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, threw more water in his face, slapping him, trying to get him to wake up. You can't wake the dead up. That baby had left here. But when he got back and she decided, or he allowed her to take the baby to the hospital, she did her hair and makeup. As a mother, I don't get it. I don't get it. And there are many of you who really feel that Brittany definitely is the one who took her baby out of here, who took Malia out of here. But there are still some people who just can't fathom, how could a mother do that? Why would a mother do that? We're mothers. We carried these babies inside our bodies, like they lived inside of us. So how could we dare kill them or allow them to be killed and mistreated in that way? Some people are what they call dick happy, desperately seeking dick. That's not everybody's story, but that's some people's story. They'll do anything for the D. There was a challenge a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, what I'll do for the D. There were some good ones. They were funny, but the ugly truth is some women will kill their children for the D or allow their children to be murdered for the D. That wasn't Brittany's story. Brittany had a D. Darian, she had him hands down, so she didn't have to do this to her baby to have him. That was her, something wrong with her. Something's wrong with her in the way she did not love that baby. But anyways, moving back to this story, again, I just think they're just desperate for the D. In this young lady's case, and I'm being very nice by calling her a young lady, Geraldine Perkins, you are really the opposite of a young lady. You are, it hurts. It hurts. I never met you. I never met your baby, but to know what that baby went through, the fear, and not only did his mother fail him, ACS failed him, the school failed him. Even though the school reported his injuries, they reported things that they would see, but somebody needed to really physically come in and do something. Like we can just talk, we can report, we can write a letter, but damn them damn letters, damn that talking. This baby needed somebody to physically come in and save him, like tangibly grab his ass and save him from home. Children should not be afraid to be at home. That's their safe haven. That's the protection from the world, from this evil world. And it's sad when the evil is in their homes. It's sad. And I'm pointing my finger, but trust me, it's 3 pointing back at me. I have a story. I do. I just thank God. I thank God my story didn't end up like this. I thank God I had the tenacity to say, oh, hell and no. This is one time too many. It's not going to happen again. So I'm not being judgmental of her without judging myself. I'm not. Let me just try to give you guys a timeline of this baby and how the system truly, truly, truly failed him. I know it's almost like a cliche. We always say the system failed, but the system truly failed this baby. The system that was put in place, what our tax dollars pay for, failed, did not do their job, period. They did not do their job with this baby. And there's many, 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 many cases that says the same thing. But I'm sure there's cases where the system did what it was supposed to do, and I applaud you. I applaud you for doing what you were supposed to do. That's just like we as moms or dads to say, well, I did this for my child, I did that. Okay, that's what the fuck you were supposed to do. That's what you were supposed to do. Before I give this timeline, I do have a question. Where in the hell are the family members, are the friends? Where did he ever go to a birthday party? Did anybody ever visit the home? Why didn't they have electricity? Where is the village? Where in the hell is the village? So on June the 21st, 2010, I'm assuming that's the day Zaire was born, or around about the time he was born. His mom tested positively for marijuana in her system. Is that a red flag by itself? Probably not, even though I would hope if you're going to indulge in those things, now that someone has some research to contradict what I'm about to say, if you're going to indulge in those things, I say just don't do it while you're with child. Don't give your child those things. Not again, now that someone has some study or some proof that it may be healthy for the fetus. To my knowledge, it's not. So her testing positive for marijuana in itself probably is not a big red flag for me. However, when they asked her about her mental state and things like that, she has a psychotic history. She spent time in a mental institution. Those things I think we should, when we get that from a patient, a new mother, they should be assigned some type of social worker, some type of psychiatrist visit, some type of follow-up to that. We have to make sure these babies are okay. Yeah, they say, yeah, Jay, that's going to cost some money. Yeah, it will. It will, but these kids' lives are priceless. On June the 15th, 2015, Zymere was beaten naked by Smith. Like he had a habit of beating this baby, like stripping off his clothes and beating him naked and beating him while he was submerging him in cold water. This beating came from the time Zymere wrote on the neighbor's wall with a coat hanger. And again, during this beating, people outside testified or noted or reported that they can hear this baby screaming from inside that house. ACS was contacted, but guess what? At that time, the mom was offered parental guidance or parental services, but she even refused to go to that. She didn't want any help for this baby. She didn't want any help for herself. She didn't want out of this relationship. She refused. They offered her parental guidance, which is BS by itself, the way this baby was beaten on June 15, 2015. But she didn't want that because she's crazy. On August the 28th, 2015, Smith and Perkins, Rayhiem Smith, the ex-boyfriend, the abuser, the murderer, and Geraldine Perkins, the so-called mother, they went out to dinner. They went out to dinner to eat. Guess what? They left Zymere at home alone. He left out the house and started walking through the neighborhood. He's about, 5 years old, alone. People saw him, got him, called the police. Of course, ACS was involved. And the neighbor who actually called the police got into a fight, or Smith got into a fight with that neighbor. He was mad because the neighbor called the police because y'all out eating and this baby starving at home and he leaving out the house by himself, walking up and down the neighborhood. ACS again was involved, gave the child back, and they just noted in the file inadequate guardianship. This was the second complaint. Yeah, he was beaten later when he, after the police let him go back to mom and the murderer. And on this instance, his teeth was actually knocked out of his mouth. Zymere's teeth was knocked out of his mouth, and he was beaten because he left the house when they went out to eat, and they almost got in trouble for that. On February 2nd, this is the year this baby would die. February 2nd, 2016, Zymere School reported there were suspicious injuries to him and that these injuries had been going on for 4 months. So the school finally said, we're going to notify the state of New York. We're going to let them know something's going on with this baby. He has missing teeth today and his jaw seems to be broken. The mom on this allegation, guess what she said happened to her son? He fell. It must be Brittany Bowen's friend or something, or cousin. She reported he got all of these injuries, knocked out teeth, a broken jaw, because he fell and he was injured. When she told him he fell and got those injuries, ACS didn't even investigate this allegation. This came from the school. This came from the school, his teachers. Not even investigated. This baby is battered and beaten like that. On April 18, 2016, ZYMERE'S school notified authorities again regarding these red bruises and scratches over both his legs. At this time, ACS and the NYPD, the New York Police Department, took in custody, took in their care ZYMERE. They took ZYMERE to the Manhattan Child Advocacy Center and interviewed him. These people that's interviewing this baby, and this baby had been known to tell what his murderer was doing to him. So I'm sure that day was no different. He told what happened to him. But the people who was there talking to this baby and looking at his bruises stated, we only see slight red markings on his legs. The child is not in any immediate danger. He can go back home. He good. We're going to go home and we're going to chill, do whatever we do, live our happy lives. This baby good. They sent them back home. That was April the 18th, 2016, several months before his murder. Again, he was murdered September 2016. That horrific day for defecating in the living room, which he had done on more than one occasion due to no electricity. He was scared of the dark. He didn't want to go to the bathroom at night by himself. But I'm going to tell you, he probably didn't want to disturb Smith or his mom. He probably tried to be invisible and just stay in his own world and stay to himself as much as possible, not to incite them in any way for another beating. On October the 31st, 2016, the ACS commissioner, she's the commissioner of the ACS agency. Her name is Gladys Carrion. This is about a month after Zaire was murdered. She cried at a city council hearing and she took blame for the agency's failure of ZYMERE. She cried to the council. Was she sorry for ZYMERE or sorry for herself? I'm sure she didn't want this baby to be murdered the way he did. But you failed him. You and your people failed this baby. This crying happened at a city council hearing about this incident a month after Zaire was murdered. This happened on October 31st of 2016. Again, he was murdered in September 2016. So she cried, basically asking for forgiveness of her and her staff. Yes, of her and her staff. Yes, yes. Even though she may have not been the direct caseworker, you're over the caseworker. And for these caseworkers to not do their job to their fullest ability, not do the job that they were set in place to do, that comes from the top. How could you be comfortable? I can't go and work and not do what's slated for me to do. I can't just go in there and just do what I want to do and do it how I want to do it. There are guidelines set in place. There are policies and procedures that I must follow, period. And if I don't, there's people ahead of me that's going to have my head on their plate. They're not going to allow it. And if they did allow it and something happens, their head is going to roll because they allowed me not to do what I'm supposed to do. So yes, she's very responsible for her workers in her agency that she was the commissioner of. It starts at the top. It does. When my kid did something in school or did something outside of school or to society, they coming at me because I'm over that child. They came at my ex-husband because he's over that child. We're responsible. She was responsible. So a month later, a little over a month later, this is after she's crying and snotting and basically wanting them to forgive her because she didn't do her damn job and follow up with her people to make sure they were doing their job. A month later, 3-year-old Jaden Jordan was fatally beaten in Brooklyn by his mother's boyfriend under ACS watch. September 2016, ZYMERE was beaten to death. October 31st, 2016, the commissioner of the ACS was crying, basically asking for forgiveness to the city council. A month after that, did nothing change in a month? A little over a month, something, I don't care. They say that's not a lot of time. When these babies are dying like this, that's a lot of time. You need to do whatever you need to do to get shit changed. Because a month after you cried, like you was getting ready to get stuff right and make sure this don't happen again, Jaden Jordan was beaten by his mother's boyfriend in Brooklyn. The thing about his death, 3 days before his death, ACS was supposed to do a welfare check on him. So apparently there was an open case with ACS with Jaden Jordan. We're supposed to do a damn welfare check on this baby. But guess what? It didn't happen because ACS caseworkers went to the wrong damn address. Had they went to the right address 3 days prior, maybe Jaden would be alive today. So after this, Carrie-Ann went ahead and just resigned her position altogether. She left up out of there because there were some charges coming. There was a state investigation going on, faulting ACS in the death of ZYMERE, Jaden, and other children that the ACS had failed that resulted in their murder in close proximity of each other. This didn't happen 10 years ago, and this happened 5 years ago, and this was 12 years ago. This is like one after the other. It's just popping off. Y'all not doing y'all damn job. Y'all not. I know there's a lot of this going on in society, and it's just not Child Protective Services of New York. It goes on in every state. It's sad that we're having children and we have to have parenting organizations to parent us to make sure our babies are safe. It's bananas, it's crazy, but I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. And as I'm doing this video, it's a child out there right now that's being abused, that's being murdered, that's in grave danger of not being here no more. And we have got to find that village to get involved. Family members, when you see this happening, when you suspect it, you got to be involved. There's an old saying, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. It's better that we step in and there's nothing happening and everything is okay then we just continue to remain out, and we look up and we're going to our cousins, our nephew, our stepchild funeral. Yeah, I just wanted to bring this story to you guys. Again, Zymere Perkins dead in September 2016 at the hands of his mom's boyfriend, Rayhiem Smith, and his mother because she stood by and allowed this murder to happen. Geraldine Smith, and over time, she actually participated in some of his abuse and some of his beatings, and definitely the fact that they did not feed this baby. She participated in that, and she's just as guilty, if not more so guilty, because he did what he was allowed to do. You could have took your baby, you could have ran, but no, desperate for the D. All right, this is Idaj Newscast, and I think I am up to 41 subscribers. Thank you guys. I'm still waiting on that 1,000 subscribers so we can do our live shows. My sidekick, Moms for Babies, I hope you are feeling better. I know you are dealing with some laryngitis. I love you. All right, guys, see you next time.